Hello and welcome to The Healing Way. My name is Richard Clark and this is Rheumatoid Arthritis, Cells and Cancer, Part 6. Right, just to briefly recap, so far as I can tell, so far as I can perceive, drugs, mainly antibiotic drugs made from moulds and funguses, damage the stomach, which allows energy that shouldn't be in the body to bleed into the body. This energy should go out as waste, but the damage caused by these antibiotic type drugs and fungus and moulds from other sources allow this energy to bleed into the body, where it finds its way into our DNA. It occurred to me that this energy, when I look at it, it looks like it's inert without any properties. This is because it's waiting to see what properties it needs, so that if it needs to regenerate, it becomes a regeneration energy, or it expresses itself as a regeneration energy. If it's a decaying type process that it's involved in, it will become a decaying type process, and if it's a death type process, this energy will express itself as a death type process. That's why I couldn't see why it just seemed to lay in the body inert. The cells processing this energy give rise to various conditions, and the fact that this energy or essence of death or regeneration is in the body like a layer gives rise to rheumatoid arthritis. That is another process that needs looking at, but for the minute what I'm looking at is that this death energy bonds or binds with our DNA, and this is an internal process. The only way I can understand it is to look at it in this way, to get at it from underneath. Other videos and up to now, possibly my whole time with healing, has been to look at things from above, from the surface, and to try and deal with them from the outside, to try and draw things out or put things in from the outside. This worked up to a point. It does work up to a point, but it's beyond a point. I cannot follow it. I can go so far down from the outside in, and then it just stops. But with this, I can come through from underneath, and I can get to and perceive everything I couldn't perceive before, or a lot of what I couldn't perceive before. And it's tying up a lot of loose ends. It makes a lot of sense about a lot of things that have puzzled me in the past. I'll see if I can explain further. So, this death energy or regeneration power, it binds with our DNA. Now, if you've watched my video on multiple sclerosis, you'll, if you've followed all that, it was insect material gets into the body, gets into the food chain and gets into the stomach, is distributed throughout the body, and there it's feasted upon or consumed by yeast or viruses, yeast or funguses. And that was as far as I could go with that, because as I say, that was a surface approach, that was from the outside looking down. Now what seems to happen is there's a similar process going on in our DNA, that insect material, probably from the same source, it has to be consumed, it has to get into the body by being consumed, so it comes in via the stomach, but I think from the stomach it goes into the blood. I think it's distributed by the blood, in the blood, and the blood, from the blood it gets to the DNA. I think that is the process, that is the chain of events. So insect material is drawn into the DNA because it consumes this death energy. And as I've said before, insects are very much an expression of the death power, and they consume it and express it. They don't consume it the way humans would, they absorb it and assimilate it, so it becomes part of them, and being part of them, they're an expression of it, and that's why possibly insects are very feared by humans, irrational fears we call it, and they are very dangerous to us. So this material is drawn into the DNA because the death power is there. Following on with that is fungus. The fungus then arrives, and that gets into the body by various means and is distributed throughout the body. And the fungus tries to consume the insect material. This is going back to what I was saying on the videos on MS, multiple sclerosis. But this is at a deeper level. When I was talking before, I was talking much more on the surface. And as I say, everything I've done so far has been very much a surface thing. It's been about how things get in from the outside into channels that run through us on the surface. They do go a bit deeper, but this approach takes me right to the lowest level of it all. So I can now come up. And as I say, what's been seen from the outside looking down can now link up with what's being seen or perceived from the inside coming upwards. So the situation is the insect material is trying to consume the death power. Then fungus or moulds turn up in the same place, and they try and consume the insect material, but they can't do it. It's like a power struggle, and they take on the shape of the DNA, this double helix thing, this spiral. The insect material and the fungus takes on the shape of the DNA and becomes entangled in each other in a kind of power struggle. One can't win. They cannot win outright, but one can become dominant. And when one becomes dominant, say the fungus becomes dominant, then the body condition, because it's DNA and it replicates, because it's body condition, the whole body changes to this, to a fungal body condition. And this would be the forerunner of things like osteoarthritis. And it's all to do with bone problems. Now, when the DNA replicates, it doesn't just replicate physically, it replicates everything. It replicates the energy. So the energy is replicated. And this is where the real problem is, because the energy is replicated, this energy goes on and creates the human being. So we very much become expressions of what's in our DNA, insects or funguses, in the same way that insects become an expression of the death power. Now, there's different types of insect material coming from different insects, and there's different types of funguses, or fungi, obviously. So it seems to me that depending on the type of, or the source of these two conditions, the insect material and the fungi, I don't think the death power plays a big role in this. Its existence is a problem, but I don't think it's an active thing. I've been trying to track down the process that leads to cancer, but I wouldn't say I've been sidetracked, but the main event at the moment is this focus on the DNA and this entanglement of fungal energy. This isn't a material thing, they're all energies, and insect material, which again, although is very physical and has an effect on the physical, is probably an energy, which means it possibly cannot be detected or measured by science. So depending on where the source of these materials, the source of the insect, what insect provides the insect material, and what type of fungal infection it is, it could be a fungal infection like athlete's foot. It could be a fungal infection as I say, from penicillin, from drugs. But the point is, because these are differences in the DNA, they lead to differences in the type of body condition and illnesses. So from here, as I say, fungal infections in the DNA give rise to a body condition as an expression of the fungus, and this would very much be a problem of the bones. The fungus, for some reason, expresses itself through the bones, and the big bones become the... This has always puzzled me, why a person with osteoarthritis, for instance, has it all through them. Right? They might have osteoarthritis in a particular joint, but the condition is osteoarthritis. The osteoarthritis is focused in a particular place. Now then, what I need to get at further down the road is what triggers it and what focuses it. And that's true of everything. Cancer, what triggers it, what focuses it. The insect material, this going back to fungus, this seems to be a condition that affects women more. But I haven't seen the mechanism for that. Yeah, osteoarthritis and multiple sclerosis, very similar, very much line up in the same group. And women are more affected by, I think, MS I read. I'm not sure about osteoarthritis, but MS, multiple sclerosis, yes, they're more affected. Men are more affected, I think, from what I've read. And I don't do a lot of reading because I don't want to be influenced too much. I want to just stick with what I perceive rather than what comes from outside. Men are more affected by Parkinson's disease, I think. Now, Parkinson's disease is very much a disease of insects. It's very much a disease of insects, and I think I don't think the root of this is the DNA. It's not that simple. You cannot say, well, the DNA gets infected, therefore it all comes from the DNA. I think Parkinson's disease is still something that comes in more on the surface and goes through the surface. Other conditions are caused by the insect material, yes. But Parkinson's, although it's caused by insects, or insects have got a vast part to play in it, I don't think so at this level. I don't think it's a DNA thing. This needs more study. Okay, so as I say, there's a power struggle going on in the DNA between fungal infections and insect material. They form the spiral, the helix, in the same way the DNA does. It might be they infect the DNA and take on its shape. That might possibly be a better way of doing it, of saying it. There is a reproduction. It reproduces, the DNA replicates, and in that replication all the energies of the fungal infection and the insect material is also replicated. And this replication goes all through the body, so our bodies become an expression of the material in the DNA, the one that has gained ascendancy, the one that's got, it cannot win the battle, but it can win the power struggle. It can be the dominant one. Sometimes they're fairly evenly balanced, and then they become, then their body condition becomes an expression of that. So you'll see both powers in the body, both energies, insects and funguses, fungal infections. It's about as far as I've got with this one. There's a lot of information. As I say, I'm still looking at cancer. My feeling, no, I haven't got a feeling. It's like it doesn't come from this place. If it does, it's not showing up to my perception at all. This has surprised me in going down this road where suddenly I'm into the realms of fungal infections and insect material. But it doesn't look like cancer originates from this point. Because I think with earlier videos I thought, okay, the death power gets in as regeneration power, it starts to regenerate or reorganise living matter, living material, and that's where you get the growth from. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced. It's an easy one. It's cherry picking. It's picking the low-hanging fruit. It's a nice, easy, convenient, logical, reasonable explanation. But at this moment in time, I'm not convinced at all, because I cannot see a continuation. That seems to be okay, but I cannot perceive it just doesn't continue on from that point. There has to be a mechanism out into the body to create the growths, the tumours. Anyway, this will no doubt come back when it's ready. Alright, a lot of information on this one. As I say, the unknown things at the moment are the trigger mechanisms, what triggers it, and why it focuses in certain parts of the body, and all the different illnesses. All the different illnesses are expressions of all the different insect materials and all the different funguses. So plenty to get on with. That's how it goes. Okay, thank you very much if you've been watching. I do appreciate it. And we'll just keep plodding on. If you're happy to keep viewing, I'm happy to keep plodding on. As I say, thank you very much.